I had a couple of videos just come up, one pointing towards my intelligence, which, I said there thinking, yeah, quite intelligent. And the other one was pointing to the fact that you're going to go from sort of struggling financially to being really successful, even having a personal assistant. And this isn't in any way, is it posturing? It's just thinking really about what life would be when success comes. Before we even get to that, really, I just want to point out to how frustrating things are at the moment. And, maybe when that opportunity comes, if it does, how out of the blue it is to a degree. The work's been put in, but you can't force people to listen. You can't force people to watch and engage. You can't, you just, all I can do is put the work out there. It's not for me to decide really the outcomes. So my daughter, for instance, was recently looking through some of my videos, and she said she always listens to the ones when she's referred. And I thought, well, that's interesting. And she said she was talking about some of my other videos where some have like thousands of views. And she goes, how many do you think the new one had? I said, naught. It's had naught. I know it's had naught. And she said, yeah. And I said that. I said, like, you know what I mean? And I was pointing out parts of the video, and she was learning things from it. It was obvious that she knew it was a good video. And I said, it's a great video. That will literally help so many people. But it's not that people aren't watching. Like, it's not that it ain't good enough. It's just no one's literally seeing it. And there's nothing I can do about it. I can only create. And it is what it is. I know that will help so many people have a perspective on how they bring up their children, but also those that maybe haven't had the best life. And they're trying to heal from their past and even their present through family trauma. It's like, I just think even that video alone, I think will hit a nerve with people, but it'll give them a moment to reflect, and it'll instigate change. Even if I don't see sort of the reception to that, it's like people will naturally heal. But how many views does it have? None. And I just want to make that as evidence, because there's going to be times, I think, in the future when things do pick up like immensely, and I wouldn't be surprised if things can go viral. I have another channel on here, more gaming related. When I log into there, a video will pop up of mine from last year or earlier in the year, So I know what I do now isn't always for the present. It'll get seen when they're supposed to. But it is frustrating how slow it all is. So let's zoom in deeply, because it's just the only way you're going to be able to see anything. But there you go. 1 day ago, 0 views. Let's go further back. Videos. 2 views. 1 view. That's 3 days ago. 0 views still. 2 views. 2 views. This is what it's like. Do I give up? No, I don't. Because it means too much to me, and it's my calling. It's my passion. It's me sharing parts of me where I know I can help people, and I know it will heal them. So for me, it's priceless. It's not about the financial rewards. It's about the healing of the planet effectively, and humanity and people on an individual basis that will have wider ramifications. When people heal, they'll naturally want to help other people. And we create momentum in that regard. I'm not going to go too deep in my other stuff in terms of my books and my websites and all that. It's just, and I'm not going to show the other video where because I can't be bothered, in all honesty. It's a bit too many times I sort of share content that I come across and I show it, and it's like, it was more the fact that I think it's really important that success doesn't change us. It can evolve us, but I don't think it shouldn't affect such a profound change in us that we alter our ideals. Like for me personally, I know what I want in my life, and I know how I want to live my life. And a success is not, I will not allow success to alter that, because too many people, they get carried away with the journey. The pressure gets to them, the workload increases, they just lose sight of themselves. They become this workhorse, they lose their identity, and they fall in a pit of despair. And they literally get so exhausted, they don't even know why they're doing it. And it's like, that's not what I'm interested in at all. So just the notion of a personal assistant. At first, I was like, I wouldn't even have a personal assistant, because first of all, I don't like people beneath me in any way. I don't like that. I'd rather uplift people and they go on their journey. I shouldn't have a subordinate. There shouldn't be someone pandering to my needs, if you like. It's like they should be living their life rather than serving me. Do you know what I mean? I'm not interested in that stuff. But I thought, okay, let's say your status improved to a point where you do actually need some help here, because, like me personally, anyone knows me, my phone is on do not disturb permanently. I don't give a shit who's on the other end of that phone. It's on do not disturb and silent. I don't even like to hear the notifications pop up, even if there's like an app update or anything's coming through. I'll check my phone periodically. Weirdly enough, when my daughter messages, it still comes through, and I can't seem to control it. But at the same time, I quite like it, even if Sometimes she can bombard me in periods. But I'll check my phone regularly anyway. So I'll reach out when I see it and we'll communicate and things. So it's not like I'm just ignorant, but I don't like to be annoyed with it. The pinging all the time, it drives me absolutely to madness. And I'm not here to try to help people at the detriment of my mental health and my peace. So I just thought about it and I thought, if you was thrust into the limelight and people wanted to interview you, people wanted to collaborate with you, there was more career opportunities and all that, it's like, that's beautiful, but in its time and place. It's like, there's no way, I don't care what money's on the line, I'll do things at my pace. And if people don't like it, it's like, it really doesn't bother me. I'm of the notion, if something's supposed to happen, it will. And I live my life by that. If it doesn't align, it doesn't align. So if someone says it's now or never, I'll just say, well, bear that in mind. Bear in mind I don't feel it at the moment. It's never then. That's fine. It's never. Don't give me ultimatums because it doesn't work. That's not to say that I get to dictate everything because, of course, it's about communicating. So like maybe let's say I can't do that because that period because I've got something on. I don't want too much of a workload or whatever reason it is. And then the other person's not available. And then I say this date, I can't expect them to pander to me. But it's like work a date that works, work a period that works. So I started thinking, oh, wow, that could get immense. That could get really intense. In all honesty, it'd piss me off because I want to create, but I want to live my life. Last thing I want to do is be constantly on the phone to agents, to all sorts of things, and that's my life. Like, that's not my life. I'm not here to do all that shit. I don't like the admin side of all that. I don't even like promoting my books. I hate it. I like to create, move on, help where I can, move on. So the idea that I would have to, in any way, just constantly communicate over and over again to negotiate this, to negotiate that, to do that, it's like, that's going to give me a bloody headache. I won't. I'll switch off. And I think people involved in any sort of way of that, they would have to know that. They would have to know that about me anyway. Like, look, I have boundaries and I will not budge on boundaries. So if I say, for instance, I'm taking a week off at the moment, I'm not going to be reaching out. There's going to be no negotiations during that period. I'm literally resting or I'm enjoying myself. I'm doing this. And people don't respect that. It's like they're going to find quite a harsh, I don't give a shit if it's freaking Paramount, Sony, NBC, whatever the hell the names are, It's like Fox. It's like, I don't give a shit. If I say I'm not available for that week, you can reach out and negotiate all you like. But it's like, I'm not interested in that period. If you do not establish boundaries and prioritize your own peace and sanctity, you will never have that in your life. And I just think it's so important because if you're just a workhorse, you're going to be freaking exhausted. Eventually you look at your life and think, what was it all for? It's like, no, everything has to be an equilibrium. It has to be balanced. And it's about people respecting you and you respecting them, It's like having that communication. And fortunately, I'm people would call it outspoken, but I'd say opinionated. And I speak up. In a way, maybe it is outspoken, but it's like I beat to my drum. And it's not I don't consider it being rude, but other people will find it obtrusive and arrogant and rude and whatever they want to consider it. But that's only because they're so used to everybody else just saying yes to them all the time, jumping through hoops and getting all excited. And it's like, no. There'll be times when, of course, it does work out. Someone will want to do an appointment or there'll be a meeting or there'll be an opportunity. And yeah, if it aligns perfectly, it'll be effortless. But there's going to be times when you say no and people don't like being told no. And it's just, you're going to have to get used to that one. Because I'm not here to be a yes man for anyone. And I don't care. I genuinely don't care. I don't care what money's on the line. Because you can only buy so many things in this world. Not to say I wouldn't want a luxury and I don't want money because that's not saying that at all. But it's not prioritizing that for your happiness. So the idea that you could get overwhelmed, I think, with so much in terms of correspondence, it's like I'd have to switch off in periods, and no one really gets a priority. If there was like a priority link, for instance, maybe there's someone high up who knows boundaries, but they only reach out when it's genuinely needed and it's urgent. If there's someone that I know that respects that boundary, then because I know you can let loopholes through your do not disturb, like you can put a contact through that can actually break through. It's almost like a firewall, and they can get through. I think in that instance it's useful because maybe there's something urgent, but most people I don't think have boundaries, and they always consider everything urgent. So it's like that's just, yeah. If you miss a deadline, you miss a deadline. That ain't for me. So then I thought about a personal assistant. I thought, wait a minute, bear in mind the way I am, it's like that would make sense because you could literally meet up a couple of times a week, set certain dates, say, look, we'll have a powwow on a Monday, see where we're at, what's happened over the weekend, maybe again on Wednesday or Thursday. So you allow them to do their. So if you had a personal assistant, I wouldn't want them to be my lackey. I don't want them. I would if I had that. I ain't even in that world, so I don't even know how it operates. But I know how I would want to operate, and I tend to beat to my own drum and do my own way anyway. I don't tend to adhere to traditional ways of doing things. I find my own way in life, and I don't care. And I think it's really important that we do that because otherwise, all you're doing is mirroring and copying the actions of others, and it's like who are exhausted. So where's the logic? Um, so I would personally rather allow that person just to get on with things, organize meetings and things. Because you know what I mean? Like, let's say you got really busy and someone says, I would love to book an appointment for you to do a speaking opportunity and engagement for that. We'd love for you to feature on a podcast or be interviewed for this. Or we'd love for you to collaborate on that. Or there's an opportunity for this. Now, I'm only saying hypotheticals here, of course. But I would rather someone took the time and just said, look, we'll get back to you when we've got a sort of, we've got a structured response. I don't want to do that shit where someone says something, you've got to answer immediately. Because if you're putting pressure on me like that and you're not even giving me time to think and work out all the other things that are going on, and it's like, no then. Because if you've got no patience, that's not who I don't operate like this. I don't like that shit. I like to know what I've got planned ahead of time. I don't like things being thrown at me. Now, on a rare opportunity, depending on your vibe, do you know what I mean? But for the most part, that's how I see it, really. It'll be a case of on a Monday, on a Thursday, or whatever, maybe 2 or 3 times a week, you catch up with your assistant or your management team, however that works, and you allow them to organize everything. So it's like, right, okay, these are speaking engagement opportunities. These are to feature on to be interviewed. These are to do this. This is a wonderful opportunity over here. And then maybe just work through those things individually. So you go, okay, so well. Do you know what I mean? Because you listen to what the opportunities are, but you'll also set the agenda for what you want, and your team would know that instinctively. So let's say you was really popular, doing so well, you're doing engagements here, you've got opportunities here, you want to do some sort of tour and you want to talk to people, you want to go personal, you want a more intimate setting maybe. Sometimes you do big stadium things, to an extent, of course. But then maybe there's a chance just to go one-on-one with people. And it could be, I'm just, again, it's all hypotheticals, but it's important, I think, you have that in your head so you know where you're heading towards. So personally, I would be like, if I want to do something, that's the priority. Opportunities, yeah, you don't want to miss every opportunity, of course. So you want to be realistic. But if I said, look, I really want to spend the next few months doing intimate work groups where I can help people on an individual basis and really have a personal impact on their life, because it would be really uplifting for me. It'd make me feel good just to see the personal impact it has. Because when you do a big group, I don't get to see the result of that, which is great. I can reach a lot of people, but sometimes it's going to be nice just to be able to see the impact I have, and it'll help me grow through it too. So we'll all grow together. I'm getting huge goosebumps. So if I said that, for instance, and then we're trying to work that out, and then someone comes with an opportunity, it disrupts that. It's like, no, not in that period. Not in that period. That's the priority right now. If it can work around it and it fits in, I've still got time for me, because that's important. I'm not a mule. That's how I would operate. And it's literally, I'd be transparent about it. So again, if people don't have boundaries or their expectations are warped, it's like, that's not my problem. So yeah, that's how I would see it, really, if I had a team behind me. Because if you've got a team behind you, you're the star. And that's not from arrogance. It's like, if they're there for you, then they're there for you. I think too many people, they get led by their teams. They'll get told, this is what you got to do. We need you to do this. We need you to do. It's like, no. If you're representing me, you're representing me. I'm not representing you. So I'm not a workhorse. This is how I set my boundaries. This is the structure. If you can't work with that, then I need to find a team that will. And that's how that's how I would operate. And it's not from arrogance. It's literally just knowing what you want and the life you want, and having a routine that fits around it. Because that's how I am now. So if I don't want to do something, I'm not going to. You only have so many hours in a day, and I think burnout isn't a good place to be. So yeah, if that come in, you would know as well, wouldn't you? So you might go, okay, so I can do this, but maybe that I can do that podcast interview. Where's that located? Is it remotely, or have I got to attend somewhere? Because then it's logistics, isn't it? Let's say, for instance, I'm just saying hypotheticals here. Let's say something was in Chicago, Well, how many engagements have you got there that are in Chicago? Because I don't want to I wouldn't want to keep flying back. Let's say you had to go Florida, you had to go California, in New York, then back to England. It's like, where is everything? Like, let's just try and get some sense of this. Obviously, I'd rather just get certain things out of the way that are similar to each other because you get some momentum with it. But at the same time, I don't want to jump all over the place. That'd be stupid. But that's the sort of way I think. I think I'm I'm an overthinker in general, so I think of everything well ahead of time. So I'm not saying that when you get your first breakthrough, you're going to be in a position where you really get to have that level of control. But I think it's important that people know before they even approach that that's where my head is at. And whilst maybe you'll be more eager at the beginning, there will be a period where your priority is on your own fulfillment, and our values change. And yeah, I'm not someone who wants to work my life to death. I don't see that as a life well lived. A lot of my work is passive, like I say. So I've already done the videos and I already do the books. And I feel like even if I'm not personally available to people, the work exists already to help them. So I don't feel like I owe anyone in that regard, So I don't have to burn myself out. And that's how I feel. If I hadn't done that, then maybe I'd be a bit more open with the other stuff. But like I say, when you first start out, though, effectively, when you first start out, you wouldn't expect so many opportunities. I'm talking about the situations when it gets overwhelming and your phone just doesn't stop. And you got messages coming left, right, and center. It's like, that's when you're just going to want to shut down, aren't you? You're going to go, oh, I can't handle this shit. This is just a madness. And I think at that point, that's when you do need a team behind you, just to be like a barrier between you and the chaos, and then they can filter it, organize it, and effectively that's what you're paying them for. Because I think if reality is, if you've got a team behind you and you don't really know what they do, it's like, why are you paying them? Because sometimes it comes down. I mean, I'm not a stupid person, so I don't care what traditional ways of doing things are. I'm not doing that percentage shit. That would drive me nuts because that's ridiculous. You could have a management team, and they could say, we can represent you, but we'll take 20% of all your earnings. It's like, well, you're not representing me, because although it gives me a headache, I can do it myself. Let's be respectful here, because if on low levels, that's fine. Let's say you made 100 grand. They're going to get 10, 20 grand. Well, that's fine. They're representing other people too, but that's fine. If you do, up to a certain point, if you're getting a million, well, they're going to take 100. This is how you have to genuinely think. I don't know how much goes as an expense. And this is why I'm not an accountant. I'm not an accountant, but I'm smart enough to know there's expenditures and expenses and things. And again, this is why I'm not an idiot. I've just you couldn't pull the wool over me. I'll slow shit down if I want to. So if something's going fast and a meeting's going fast and someone's trying to pressure me, they'll find I just completely stop. And I'll go, right, I've got all the time in the world. If you haven't, then we ain't going to be able to finalise today. But either way, I need to figure this out, and I'm not letting you put pressure on me to sign that. So effectively, let's say I'm going to go with 20% here. Let's say, because if we keep saying 10 to 20%, let's say 20%. If you was getting £1 million a year, let's say you earn £1 million in earnings, well, that means they're going to take 200 grand of your money. But you've also got to get taxed on that. And a lot of times it's like 50% tax. I think it's 40, 50%. I'm not sure. It depends on the country you're in, of course. But let's say you earn £1 million and you had to pay, let's say, I don't know what the exact numbers. Let's say the million, now you take home 600,000, but you've had to pay them 200,000. And now you've got 400,000, but there's probably other things you've got to pay out for as well. So now all of a sudden, your money isn't much different to the money that they're making, but yet you're the star. Without you, none of the money come in, and you're the one that's having to do all the travel. You're the one that's having to do all the speakings. You're the one having to put yourself out there to be judged. You're the one. You're the work. That's not to say what they do isn't important or isn't helpful, and they're not respect it or appreciate it. But I think realistically, you've got to put a price on it. There's got to be a cap. That's what I would argue. Percentage up to a cap, and then it drops. That's probably how I would do it. I could do 10% up to a point, or even if it's 20% up to a point, and then once it gets to the higher numbers, we're dropping it. It's going to depreciate, because otherwise it's just ridiculous. Let's say you made, I mean, I know you could say, oh, a lot of money is a lot of money, but it's not the point. It's really not the point. You're the one that's having to you could have a management team and they hide in the shadows. They never have to worry. They'll have multiple clients, so they have multiple streams of income. And you're the face that's constantly being broadcast everywhere. You're the one with the people being harassing you. You're the one that has to take on the brunt of everything. And it's easy to think that money is money. And it's like, yeah, but your life's been completely disrupted in the process when it wasn't really about the money in the first place. But if that's your money, that's your money. And it's important to be smart enough with that money and not let someone just take it for granted. Because I also want to check, this is my goals in life. When I'm successful enough, and I have no doubt I will one day. So when I say hypotheticals, I know in the future things will happen. I have confidence they will. I want to set up a charity of my own. And it's going to be help vulnerable people. So the way I try to help people through my books, it's those sort of people. And I know people just need a handout. They need a foot in the door. It wouldn't be a charity that's just based on money. It'll be a charity that's based on uplifting people. So I think having connections is great, and I think that's what it would be built upon. Again, I would be hands-on with a lot of things. If I had, again, all hypotheticals, of course. It's all like in the ideal world, should we say? If I had a charity, it wouldn't just be filled with people who are going to help just distribute funds and relief. It would be filled with people who can help support people with things they need that are also beneficial. So whether it's career opportunities, so let's say someone says, I've been trying and trying, and I just can't seem to make it. I can't even get an opportunity to. Let's say you want to be an actor, and I've got and there's connections with media. Well, I can put if we have the right connections, they can then hand your resume and see if something can happen. They can't get that. It's not about guaranteeing it, but it's like give people an opportunity to get their foot in the door, and then it's up to them to take the action themselves. And that's what it's all about. It's about if you're in a position of opportunity, you don't lord over people. It's give people an opportunity to shine too, but they have to be accountable to it too. But they also have to be able to take rejection if that comes, because it's life. You can't reach out and just expect the world just to pander to you, because life isn't like that. My journey's been incredibly long, demoralizing, as you saw at the beginning, 0 views. So let's be honest, if riches do come, it's rags to riches. This is like nothing to something. And it's like, I know what it's like to be at the bottom, believe me. No one supporting you, no one helping reach out, give you an opportunity. I know what it's like. And I know what it'd be like when someone does, and I'll truly appreciate it. But I don't want it to end there, So yeah, it would be, if I have plenty of money, I'm not someone that wants to just live my life, living a life of luxury while everybody around, why I see so much suffering. But with that, I also feel there shouldn't be this feeling of guilt for having nice things. I think too much happens with that. I see a lot of people's comments in other videos, and they say, I hate celebrities, I hate rich people. And I just think that's just such a lack mindset. Quite a toxic trait that needs to be healed. People with nice things shouldn't feel bad for having nice things because they've worked hard their whole life and they've had to really, really push forward at all costs, while everybody else was chilling and just maybe wasting life, maybe destroying their bodies, whatever they're doing. Other people invest in themselves when it made their life maybe a little bit boring at times, but they believed in themselves and pursued their goals. And I just think you should be rewarded for that. Investment in self should come with some reward. Not always going to be financial, but when it is, it's like, don't turn that down. So if I can have a life of luxury where I get to travel the world, I get to meet incredible people, hopefully inspire other people, have wonderful experiences, have nice things around me. Effectively, someone waves a wand and your life, it's a bit like Cinderella or something, it's like your life improves and everything's beautiful. I'm not going to feel guilty for that. Part of me maybe will at first, but I shouldn't have to feel guilty for that. But it's not a case of I would live like that and then expect everybody else to suffer because I don't care anymore. That's not the case at all. So once you get to a certain amount of money and you've got a resource that's spare, I want that to go. I want to help people. And to go full circle with that, if I had a management team that are taking high percentages off my salary and my income, that would then potentially stop me being able to set up a charity and help people that genuinely need it. Because I think there's too many, I don't want to call them a leech, but you've got too many people that just do that. They just gravitate to whatever they can take off someone, and they'll drain the life out of them, and they'll do it to multiples, and they're just wealthy while everybody else suffers, So there has to be a limit, and that's what I would have around me. There'll be a limit to salaries if I had a team around me. But it's not like, I wouldn't make people struggle. I don't think that's good either. I don't like that. People should be paid what they're worth. So it wouldn't be a case of I'm only paying you this and I'm stingy. It's not a case at all. But let's be realistic. You know, like effectively, my wealth. If I'm wealthy one day, my wealth isn't someone else's wealth. That's my money to choose what I do with it, and I won't be forced in order to pay this to do that. It's like we'd be realistic. Otherwise, I find a new team. Now again, hypotheticals, all that shit. But I want to be able to help people, So the charity would be hopefully in one day to be able to set up. That'd be pretty cool to have that impact on the world, to be a resource for people to collaborate, for people to come together, and yeah. But I think it's important that checks are made. So I'm not a naive person, so I'm not gullible. This isn't a case where someone toxic or someone manipulative, someone a criminal or something could come in and just exploit something for their own gain, just to sort of like work their way in. I would have to put again. This is where teams would be important. Teams to vet things, make sure that's genuine, before we start doing that. Because you wouldn't want to put someone through, for instance, for an opportunity with someone that's around vulnerable people and they're like a predator. That's important because you've got to protect the people that they're going to be around. So there's things like that. Of course, there's a healing, there's rehab and things, but again, we have to be accountable. If you're gonna do bad things in this world, you kind of have to expect there's going to be repercussions. Now, that's not to say people can't have retribution and they heal, but I think when you do bad things, you kind of have to expect that people will judge you for it too, though, and be strong enough to accept that because you can't just act like you didn't do it. When we do something bad, we have to take ownership of it. Doesn't mean we can't change. But I think, again, that's more of a deep thinking process in the future. I need my opportunity first before I can even think about setting up something to help other people. But I would love to do that. Because I don't think, like I said, materialism isn't the fulfillment of a life. It's a nice thing to enhance your life, but it's not the fulfillment of. I want to help people. And if I can help people with the words I say and some of the things I talk about and have like an impact, a positive impact, of course, then I think I'm doing something great. But if I can go beyond that and truly help change people's lives in other ways, I think that would be great too. And that's what my life's about. There is a level of personal sacrifice, but not to a naive level. I still want a good life for me. So, but if someone says, "Oh, you're only doing it for money," you're only doing it for money. Well, if that was the case, I would have stopped a long time ago, wouldn't I? I've been doing this for years with no money. I've been doing this for years with no appreciation. Yeah. So if I was doing it for that, I'd be really thick as shit to continue pursuing now. If you look at the signs of things in terms of feedback, in terms of money and things, I'd be really thick as shit to think that based on that, I'm going to have a great life in the future. But, there's other sides to me that know that this is just the building stage. The transition will happen and you get your breakthrough. But yeah, if I was doing it solely for the money, it would be like, that's a really bad investment. Right now, you can make a lot more money, change your life immediately by doing things you hate for the currency of money. I see that as the corruption for the treasure. I ain't doing it. I ain't doing it because my life's more important than that. And I feel doing these videos, me doing my books and things, it will hit the right audience when they need it, and it will change people. I won't always see the benefits of that, of course. People will naturally evolve, heal, maybe not even recognize the impact I had on them. But sometimes I do see it, especially like if it's people around me, for instance, I'll see it like maybe there's a confrontation, maybe words were said, and then I recognize that they did change their ways. They pushed their energy towards something different that they was never doing before. And now they're maybe improving. And it's like, I see the change there. Never get recognition, of course, because when you had an argument with someone, they're not gonna go, oh look, oh yeah, thanks for that. No, that's not gonna be the case at all. I know it's slightly rambly, but I had a few videos come up and I just thought, to be honest, I thought I was going to talk on something like this sooner. I may have done in the past, but we'll have a little think really. Like, how would life be for you if you were successful? I think that's worth thinking for people. If you were successful, what do you want your life to be? And if you think about it ahead of time, you don't get corrupted later. You can obviously get caught up in things. And like I said, all opportunities likely to come far smaller than a tsunami. But momentum builds, and then you start feeling like you have to say yes to everything because is that fear of missing out. if I miss this opportunity, someone else can take it, and it's like whatever. I know I'm great at what I do. I know I'm unique. My values seem to be completely different to other people. Other people could try to mirror, but it's not authentic. I am me. I don't try to be anything other than myself. So I know I have qualities that make me stand out. I don't want to say other people are inferior, but there's going to be times when, okay, maybe someone could choose someone else and maybe they're not as good at what they do. If you want to take the easier choice, take the easier choice. I really don't care. I can work on my own projects for the rest of my life and be fulfilled. So opportunities are great, but I can create my own. It's fine. There'll always be a book. There'll always be a video. There'll always be like a podcast or something that I'm creating. There'll always be something I'm tinkering with in my own life, enhancing. So it really means nothing. It doesn't make no difference to me. So, and that's the level I hold myself at. And like I say, you see what I mean? Like sometimes you get that where people pick an easier option or a cheaper option. It's like, yeah, okay, you do that. You do that, and I'll continue doing what I'm doing. I know my value. Anyway, hopefully that's made some level of sense. And maybe, again, even with something like this, hopefully it empowers people to reflect on the life they want, the standards they set for themselves. And, not be taken for granted of, because too many people are here to drain the living shit out of us if they can. And you get vultures. Sadly, we get vultures in this world. And be smart enough not to allow yourself to be exploited. Because if you sign a contract, and that contract has loopholes and all sorts of shit in it that allows people power over your finances, especially for a time period, that could be really costly. Let's say you get an opportunity and it's just starting out and it says 5 or 10 years on it, and you're bound by that, and then you're doing it based on the fact you're not expecting much to happen, then your life improves and goes wild. And now all of a sudden you've got hemorrhage money or even power and control or whatever it is to something. We see it with actors, for instance. Let's say they do a movie and they get like 2 million for that movie, but you're told if that's successful, you'll be in the sequel and you get 5 million. Next role, maybe 10 million, 15 million. But to sign this contract, we need to sign you to 8 movies. But then the company has control of the 8 movies. So you've signed it because you don't want to miss out. Let's say it's like a chance of a lifetime. It's like a Spider-Man movie or something, or it's something with Marvel, something or anything and everything, But it's life-changing, so you sign away because you really want it. And if you don't do that, someone else is going to take it. So you're really pressured. You feel like you've got no choice. But once you've got that opportunity and your star starts to increase and you're on a spotlight, now you want to be a bit more free because you feel you've got that power. Because people now know who you are. You've got a reputation. But wait a minute, I'm still tied to this contract I cannot get out of. So now I've got to star in movies that maybe I don't want to film a star in. And maybe it's at a time to suit them. So now maybe you can't take up roles you wouldn't. Maybe let's say there's big films. If we're going to go in, I don't know. Let's say it's Fast and Furious. You had a chance to star in let's say you just starred in Spider-Man. Now you could be in Fast and Furious. It's a great opportunity because it's something different. When the Fast and Furious first come out, for instance, I can't think off the top of my head with brands, but let's say something big happened. It's a bit like where Orlando Bloom, he starred in Lord of the Rings, Pirates of the Caribbean, and I think he was in something else. Can't remember. But he started being everywhere, and it was like, that's good for him. At least he got to be in all those franchises. That's pretty cool. But imagine not being able to do that. Imagine being in Pirates of the Caribbean, but Pirates of the Caribbean kept building and building. I think Pirates of the Caribbean come first. Again, there's no point digressing. But let's say he was tied to Pirates of the Caribbean for 10 films, just in case. And the studio, if it wasn't a Pirates of the Caribbean film, he still had to do something else. Then he got an opportunity to star in Lord of the Rings, but it's a different studio. And the other studio says, no, we need you to go and do... we're doing an adaptation of a Shakespeare film. We're going to do Macbeth. Let's say you don't really want to do Macbeth. That don't really interest me. And I've got this real big opportunity with Lord of the Rings. Well, tough. You're going to do Macbeth. And I think that's how the movie industry is. Now, I'm not in there, so I don't know specifics, but the amount you have to sell yourself to get opportunities is crazy. And, I understand if you say, no, you're not going to get the opportunity and may never come along again, but it's up to us to set the tone, I think. And I think read and have due diligence and challenge things. Maybe you're going to have to agree to some things because it's not about all of a sudden everything's going to bow to you. But let's say it says 10 movies in the contract and you just say, look, I don't, I'm new to this and I definitely I don't want to commit my whole life away. I'd love to have this opportunity and I know I could do it justice. I know I'll be great at that. And if you choose someone else, I don't think they'll do it as well, but that's your choice. But, with this in mind, maybe we can change that contract to three films, and then maybe at negotiation you end up having to do 5. I don't know. I mean, if you want to be in movies, you want to be in movies anyway, don't you? So that's your career. That's where you want to be. So you want to feature in things. But maybe you can whittle it down by negotiating. But some people, maybe they just sign away. Like, now it's your career isn't even your career. It's literally being controlled by a freaking corporation. That's quite scary to me. Because I'm someone that has to be free. So if the idea that someone has that puppet control string over me, that will not happen at all. Throw away millions for all I give a shit. Ain't gonna happen. So if it's a case of we put in front of me, we'd like you to do this project and we're prepared to pay you this amount, X amount. And if that's successful, we'd like to do, would increase obviously, and we, the stadiums or whatever would be bigger if you're speaking. I don't know what the hell. Let's just say that. But the contract, we're going to do like a contract for a 10-year contract. Even I don't even know you. I'm not doing a 10-year contract. Let's do a contract based on the first setting and see where we go. But there's no way I'm signing that. And if they say, well, again, it's the same situation. If you don't sign that, then we're not going to be able to do it. Well, we're not going to be able to do it, are we? I'll just continue writing my books. I'm cool. I'm chill. If you think someone else can do what I do, great. Let them do it. So I don't care. Yeah. That's the confidence I have in self, And that's really the confidence everybody else should have in themselves too.